Hey everyone, what is going on? I'm Matthew Oliver with Stillwater Alchemy, and I wanted to talk about this Capricorn full moon because it's one of two Capricorn full moons that we're going to have across Cancer season. Given that the lunar nodes are currently in Aries and Libra, it's interesting to me in multiple different ways with the astrology, with my intuition, to see how these full moons are going to be playing a significant impact. So, as always, take what resonates, leave what does not. And I was thinking about how I wanted to section this video and disseminate the knowledge. And as I was pulling up Zoom to start recording this video, I was hearing an ambulance siren in the background. And that also was in alignment with one of the messages I was feeling with this full moon, with the full moons that are happening during Cancer season, in the sense that this is going to be very loud, or something that's very obvious, or someone that's been calling out to you for a while that is likely to be brewing, that is going to culminate, that may manifest very strongly over the course of these 30 days, especially in the house in which Capricorn rules. And you can even go a bit further and look at not only the sign that Capricorn rules, the sign that Cancer rules, and Pisces. And we'll get that into a moment. But that Capricorn house is going to be going through kind of a sliding doors analogy. And what I mean by that is, if you are catching a flight or catching a train, and maybe it's at a precarious time, like you have to leave your home at 3 in the morning. And so you set your alarm, you pack your bags, you've done all the work to ensure that this is a seamless transition. So you wake up, brush your teeth, shower, and you're off to catch your connecting flight, train ride, whatever it is. And you hop on that train and you're ready to go. But let's say you partied the night before, you didn't get a lot of sleep, you didn't pack, you didn't clean your place. And so now you didn't hear the alarm, you're a mess, you're trying to get everything done. You may or may not catch that connecting flight or train ride. And for me, intuitively, that's what these full moons in Capricorn represent. Because even just looking at the chart, which is really fascinating to me, is that we can see with the full moon that happened yesterday on Friday, June 21st, the moon in Capricorn is at 1 degree. And so it's in between the nodes, North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra. So the moon is still closer technically to the South Node than it is to the North Node. And I posted about how it can feel like you're in between two lives, that it might be an old version of you. What you're wanting is this new version of you, what you've been working on since the eclipses during Aries season, the eclipses that we had in March and April of 2024. And when we get to that second full moon, which I'll make a part two to this video when we get there at the end of Cancer season on July 21st, it'll likely feel, had you been doing the work, getting everything tidy, getting everything organized, that there is no rush to try and get to the airport, to get to the train station, to connect to that energy. You're already comfortably sitting, potentially in the first class part of that voyage, being served a warm towel and a beautiful drink because you've done everything needed. And this is a beautiful time to ask yourself, like, what have you been doing? What have you been working on over the past 2 months since April? Have you been doing a lot of this integration? Have you been working through? Because right now it seems on my end, as I'm seeing in the collective, people are either doing the work, there's big opportunities that are coming, they can see the results of their work, or you might just need to take a step to reflect and to integrate. It doesn't mean that if you are doing the work and not seeing the results that you're doing something wrong. It just means that sometimes we have to take the blinders off and have a greater perspective. Sometimes we need others to hold space for us. Sometimes it's doing things in a different manner to get a better result, even if that means stepping outside of our comfort zones. And I do feel like with the moon being in Capricorn, of course, we can look at one, where Saturn is, because Saturn is a ruling planet of Capricorn. Saturn's currently in Pisces, co-present Neptune. And with this energy for me is, are we making time and space for Neptunian energies? So whether that be our dreams, our spirituality practice, our religion, higher thoughts and beliefs around feelings and creativity and mysticism, Or sometimes, quite simply, are you taking time to meditate? Are you taking time to calm your nervous system? Are you taking time to actually pursue things outside of this physical realm? Yes or no? And if this is an invitation for you to spend more time and more discipline in your creative pursuits and feeling your feelings or more spiritual matters, this is a great time to be a bit more Saturnine, a bit more Capricorn in your approach, and being like, I have not been disciplined with my spiritual hygiene, my spiritual practices, with really being creative and allowing those creative juices to flow through me. Now is the time where I'm going to go back to that and really make that a concerted effort. Now, the moon is the ruling planet of Cancer, and we can see we have currently the Sun, Venus, and Mercury in the sign of Cancer. So it can be this back and forth with this first full moon in Capricorn of maybe you've been denying that more Cancerian part of your life and your chart in terms of feeling the emotions, being raw, being vulnerable, allowing yourself to be nurtured. Maybe you're in a position right now where you are burnt out, you are exhausted. You need to allow these more lunar themes, these more Cancerian themes to help refill you, to help rebalance things out. Because again, we're looking at all these cardinal signs being activated with the nodes and then with the sun and the moon, and then that link to Pisces. And this can also be a really beautiful time if you're wanting healing, emotional healing, spiritual healing in relationship to love, money, career. That can also be the missing link. Or what I'm seeing as well is kind of like a hole at the bottom of a pail, and you keep filling it and filling it. And you're like, why is it that I'm not receiving any of this beautiful water by the time I get back to my home after I fill it up at the spike or at the pump? It's like, because there's a hole at the bottom of the pail. And so if there's a hole at the bottom of the pail, sometimes as simple as getting a new pail, fixing the pail. What is that hole? Like, where is that in your life where it feels like you're doing so much work and you're going back and forth, day to day, doing all these routines, doing all the things that you feel like should be working, but you're still feeling depleted. You're still feeling like you're not getting enough of what you need. And that goes into the themes of what we were talking about before. Are you still attaching yourself to an old way of doing things? Maybe people-pleasing tendencies, maybe worrying about your veneer, how people perceive you, that more Libran energy, versus moving towards this new identity, being courageous, having the fight and the will to move forward, even if you don't know how it's going to work. More of that Aries energy. And we can see that the North Node is co-present Chiron. So there might be a fear or a wound or a triggering about independence, abandonment, doing things on your own, or just the energy of masculine presence in your life. And so as we can see, there's so much to dig in to this lunar cycle and the fact that we have two full moons in Capricorn. This is one thing that I posted on Stillwater Alchemy's Instagram, but I often get during prominent lunations or transits, people will send me other accounts and what they're saying to do in other rituals or manifestation spells, or can I do this? Can I not do that? Truly, truly, truly just listen to your intuition. Sometimes, like, I know for me, I'm a Capricorn rising. Last night, I was going to make some content and do some filming, and I was so exhausted. It was like 8 p.m. in Toronto, and I was like, no, ma'am, there's no way I can do anything. And then I passed out and I slept so hard. I slept all the hours of sleep, and I was like, I feel so much better now. And I'm still even integrating now, but I felt really called to do this content just because I know there's so much happening, and I feel like it'd be very prevalent, and relevant. Anyways, I feel like it'd be of good service just to kind of see what I'm seeing from a collective standpoint, and then also combine it with the astrology. And the one thing that I got received yesterday from a client follower is that there was this prosperity ritual in terms of washing your hands with cinnamon, it being a super moon, a this moon, a that. I was like, from an astrological standpoint, just for me, given that the moon rules over Cancer, that means that it's in its detriment when it's in Capricorn. That in itself isn't necessarily bad, but the moon in Capricorn is more of a tough love. It means we have to slow down. It can mean that we have to reevaluate some things in terms of how our time is relating to our emotions, in terms of productivity and fertility and growth, which are kind of these lunar themes. We're also talking about prosperity in terms of transits. We want the moon to be seeing Jupiter, which it doesn't. It's an aversion to Jupiter. And as we're integrating, even if we look at the transits, as I'm filming right now on Saturday, June 22nd, the moon is opposing Mercury. And that can also be this kind of duality of, is how I'm feeling accurate, or what am I thinking? Do I need to balance out certain things between work and pleasure, work and relationships? It can also be rewiring your mind, Mercury, with how you feel in relationships, Venus, so that you have a better feeling about how you're going about your day-to-day routines, like what we spoke about. That's just one manifestation of how we can see this moon opposing Mercury and Venus and still making a wide opposition to the sun. All that's to say is that for me, this isn't necessarily the time, and unless you feel really called, of course, like you could be prosperous and manifesting, but it goes back to that hole at the bottom of the bucket analogy. If you're working from an old paradigm on how to make money, on how to be seen, on how to fall in love, and you're not getting the results that you want, and you think that a ritual is going to solve that, it might. It might put a band-aid on the pail. But then once that band-aid falls off, you're still going to feel that hole or that draining type energy. So this would be a perfect full moon and the first of two in Capricorn to sit down, to slow down, to spend some time being really raw and honest and vulnerable with how you feel. And for some, maybe feeling things you haven't felt, feeling things that don't feel comfortable. And you're like, maybe I'm not where I am in life in certain parts because I haven't been disciplined, because I haven't been putting in the time, because I've been avoiding certain things. And that can be really hard because, like most things in life, when things aren't working, it's because of us. And once we can remove that victimhood mentality and just be honest, then we can actually start creating a game plan and structures and boundaries, Saturn ruling over this lunation, to help us forward. Okay. And I do also like the fact that the moon is making a trine to Mars, in that it can be something that once you tap into the source or where these emotions need to be addressed and to felt and to heal, that it can be really exciting being like, yes, this is actually what feels good, even if it doesn't align with anything that makes sense on paper of like, well, I feel like I should be doing this. I need to do this and I need to do that. It's like, well, do you need to be doing that right now? Or is what your body, the moon, feeling is that you just want to go for a walk around the block and then go get some gelato? Maybe that's more important because you're going to get this amazing download when your body is relaxed and being like, oh, when I was younger, my parents did never let us have ice cream or gelato for dessert. All I really wanted is to have something sweet, or to have this like traditional family norm of what it would mean to like all come together after a hard day work. Like whatever that narrative is, sometimes just listening to what our body and what it wants and what it needs in that moment, even if it doesn't make sense, is actually the answer. And I feel like this can be a practice that everyone can benefit from, and is just one example of how these first of two Capricorn full moons is that transition from the old to the new. And then having Saturn in Pisces of new structures and beliefs that allow certain feelings to be felt, and knowing that you're safe in having those feelings or having those connections be prevalent. Okay. So let me know if that resonates. Let me know how you're feeling with this first Capricorn full moon. For those that are in Toronto and the GTA in general, tomorrow on Sunday, June 23rd, I'm doing a astrology pride event at the restaurant and lounge at the Canopy by Hilton, Toronto, Yorkville. It's a phenomenal event. It's an incredible deal. So I'll put the link where you can book directly through OpenTable in the description of this video. I also have a few times left next week if you want to book in for a one-on-one reading. And if you're just curious about how these transits manifest and want to be ahead of the curve and knowing what to expect and what transits are coming, the 2024 astrology guide is now on further sale as we move through the year. I've had clients before purchase the astrology guide later on in the year because then they can do a retrospective analysis of the transits that happened the first part of the year, learn more about astrology so they have that knowledge in their back pocket forever, and then also to prepare for the year ahead. So all the information and links to that will be in the description of this video. And any other questions that you have, let me know. I'm going to be active in being of service today for that specific purpose. And then if you see this video outside of Saturday, I will do my best to get back to all comments later. So I'm wishing you a beautiful integration with this Capricorn full moon, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Mwah.